And
Yeah.
yeah, I just ended up staying. Found out it was baseball, and all of a sudden there was 16 guys I could talk baseball with from out here, and one of the guys took me under the wing, and just got one thing led to another. Ended up meeting my wife, and it's like I got a girlfriend now. We'll kind of see how it goes. So yeah, so that's kind of the short version of the story.
Yeah, that's cool.
So where in Dallas are you based?
I'm just like a couple minutes from downtown, just a little east of downtown.
Right. Okay. I haven't. I had a buddy in Fort Worth, so like we went to downtown Dallas to go see the observatory. We were going to see JFK got shot, and that's
Yeah,
about all I saw.
that's all there is.
I was
No,
gutted. I was supposed to spend longer out that way, but we ended up spending more time in Fort Worth because my wife was absolutely just gobsmacked on Billy Bob's Tavern or the rodeo there, and we just ended
yeah,
up staying there because she's from Sweden, so it blew her mind that the world's largest honky tonk bar was there.
yeah, that's cool. Been to Billy Bob's back in the day.
I'm trying to think who else is it? Was it Chris that was up from? I'm checking the notes. There's another guy just north of Fort Worth. We were chatting about that. I'm trying to think who that was. Was oh, gosh. I can't remember who it was. What? So yeah, you have another local artist up that way. I feel bad for forgetting who it is, but I'm it's been a long couple nights for us. So like we're going to
Yeah.
bed around like 2 o'clock in the morning. John, I don't
What
know how
time
late.
is it? What time is it there right now?
12:30.
Okay.
So yeah, so I usually have finishing up, and then we usually debrief, and then I usually send a message to Tad, and then then it's like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and then it's like, all right, the kids get me up around 8 if I'm lucky. It's more like 7. So
How many do you have?
I've got 2 girls. I've got a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old. So what about you?
Two boys and a girl, 8, 6, and 2.
Oh man, you're not sleeping either.
No.
So this is
Get
your
up at
refuge.
5:30.
So I'm looking at your screen here. Is that a French bulldog painting up in the corner?
Oh, that was a deceased dog of ours
Right.
that somebody else painted. I didn't paint it. It's an Akita.
Ah, okay. I was trying to figure out. I only asked because we have a French bulldog, or we had a French bulldog. So I was looking, I was like, I can't quite tell. So,
Yeah.
and you let someone else do your work for you?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that other people can paint better than me, you know. Sometimes people are good with pets and stuff, and but I like, it's fun to get other people's stuff too.
Yeah, of course. Like that's the really interesting thing about this community here is I've been following most of these people on Instagram for a while, and it's really kind of exploded. And just seeing the breadth of everyone's work and the different mediums they use, and how cool everyone is. I think that's been the fun part. Like with me and John, are, like I said, yeah, I've lost a lot of sleep, but it's been so much fun to chat with everyone.
How you doing, John?
He's on mute. He's probably doing everything on social media right now, saying that.
Okay.
So yeah, so usually what happens is we chat a little bit, and then John will announce the show. He'll ask you about your kind of baseball background, and then I'll ask about the work, and then we'll ask about what you're working on for the fundraiser, and then I open up some baseball cards.
Okay.
So do you collect cards at all?
Yeah. I collected a lot. I mean, I started probably like 83.
Right.
And
Okay.
probably went to like 92.
Yeah.
But then I also during that time always collected a lot of tobacco cards and
Right.
like I just always liked the old stuff, even when I was a
Yeah.
little kid. So
Well, I was looking at your website and I noticed your memorabilia section. So how did that come around? That's some of that cool stuff.
yeah, just I like to buy and sell stuff, and seems like right now like a lot of old Chicago Cubs stuff. I was born in Chicago.
Right.
My grandparents lived in Wrigleyville for quite a while.
Ah,
Grew up in
okay.
Wrigley Field.
Were they part of the
Grandparents.
people that were protesting against the lights back in the day?
No, they had moved further away. I think they were in Wrigleyville. I want to say more like 20s to 60s.
Right. Okay.
But they would say, you know, like you could sit on the front porch, have the radio playing with the Cubs, but Wrigley Field was so close you could hear like the crack of the bat and the crowd would go crazy. So there was a delay. So
Yeah.
you could tell if, you know, Gabby Hartnett knocked that runner in before, you know, it got through on the radio, you know.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what it was like back then. I mean, I watched a lot of WGN Cubs games growing up, so you know I've always had a soft spot for the Cubs, and I went to Wrigley for my 40th birthday, so that was 5 years ago, and a bunch of us all went on for my birthday. They went for the weekend. I took a week-long trip to go visit family back in Seattle, and
Yeah.
I couldn't believe how much the area has changed and how much. Because I remember going, I want to sit in the houses behind and catch the game that way.
Yeah.
And now it's like $20 a ticket to go have a seat out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's changed. It's not the same, but yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, I mean, I've probably been to 15 or 20 games there, but I've never sat in the. So I'd like to go and sit in the bleachers and go across the street too. That'd be cool.
That was a definite on the bucket list. It was we gotta go sit in the bleachers, and yeah, it was worth it. It was a party in the bleachers. It was what I expected. But what was really cool is we went on the second day. We went to 2 games because we did Milwaukee the first night because we literally like got off the plane and then drove like an hour and a half to go catch the Brewers game and sat behind home plate, which was awesome. And the second game for the Cubs game, we were third base side, but we were underneath the stands, and it was still a good view. I had no complaints. But I was to go, you know what? I'm gonna go see how close they let me sit if I just ask. And I went on to the first base side and I asked a nice usher if I could sit in the nice seats for a little bit, and she absolutely let me sit there for an inning, just because I said I was from Scotland. So she was like, "Oh, we don't get many people from Scotland here," and ended up just chatting to her for like a whole inning. I'm trying to remember who was pitching. It was Lester pitching that day, but Chris Bryant hit a home run. So I was like, the one inning I was sitting in the seats, I was like, I'm sitting in the nice seats for a home run. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's good.
So have you been to the new Rangers Stadium then?
No. They talked to me about doing art for it.
Right.
But then I don't know. They ended up changing their mind. We'll see what they end up doing in the future. Yeah, I wanted to do some stuff about the Negro Leagues in Texas, and like Dave Hoskins is the guy who broke the color barrier for the Dallas Eagles minor league team, and then Maury Wills broke the color barrier for the Fort Worth Cats.
Ah, okay. So it's interesting you say that. I've got a Maury Wills signed jersey up for my raffle I'm holding.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, one of the guys that runs the Dodger UK account was really nice enough to donate the jersey. I was amazed that he was like, "Yeah, I'll donate that for that."
Yeah. Yeah, so I collect that stuff too, kind of old Texas League about like Dallas and Fort Worth. And I collect a lot of Negro League stuff and, you know, old cards sometimes if something comes up that's interesting, you know.
So do you do the research behind that and kind of find out more information and then go, all right, I need to go find something for that team or that player, or you just various browsing and come across that and go, that's pretty cool, I want that?
Did we lose Grant? Hello?
Sorry, it froze for a second.
Yeah. Like I said, I guarantee 100% that's my toilet causing the problems.
Well, at least we've gotten the glitches out of the way before we get started. Let's get into the show and we can talk about all this stuff in more detail. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the third and final interview tonight. It's the Ball Caps and Bagpipes show, where we interview the artists involved with the Negro League Baseball Museum art fundraiser, which begins for us. It's today. It's now the 4th of October here, but for most people involved, it'll be tomorrow. Between the 4th and 10th, these great artists are selling or donating a variety of different things to raise money for the Negro League Baseball Museum in the celebration of the 100th anniversary of the Negro Leagues in 2020. My name's Sean McKellar. I am a Glasgow baseball comment in the Baseball Scotland National League, and it is way past my bedtime because we've got a huge cup game tomorrow if the weather behaves itself. But I'm so excited to be here for this third and final interview tonight. I'm also one half of Ball Caps and Bagpipes, and there's the other half.
I see you made a clothing change before you came onto the show here.
Yeah. I'm getting into this. I might just not take it off. I might just keep it on until tomorrow.
It's like Elton John.
And I'm Jason Durr. I'm a former league president and Baseball Scotland Hall of Famer. I'm also the owner of Dugout Classics, and I'm the one holding a raffle for the Negro League Museum. And we've got a great guest on tonight. Grant, introduce yourself, please.
My name's Grant Smith. I'm in Dallas, Texas. And I primarily do artwork that focuses on baseball and kind of social commentary as well. But I've been interested in the Negro League since I was a little kid, so it's kind of a good combination here to try to do something for them for the museum as well.
Excellent. Thanks so much for joining us, Grant. It's a pleasure to be here with you and to meet you, even if it's through Zoom. We always like to start each of these interviews off with a bit of background on your baseball journey. Did you follow a particular team growing up? Did you play growing up? And if so, to what level and what positions did you play?
I followed the Cubs. That was kind of the religion in my family, being that they were all, or my mom's side of the family lived in Wrigleyville, like from my great grandparents on. So the Cubs were really, really, really huge in my childhood. And when I was 6, we moved from Chicago to Dallas. And I've been, a few other places, but I've come back. And so I'm in Dallas now. But, we also, I live pretty close to the old Arlington Stadium. So I kind of follow the Rangers quite a bit. So I got a National League team and an American League team. So I got Rangers and Cubs. But safe this year, they're not going to meet in the series. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was going to those old Arlington Stadium, sitting in those, you could get in for $1 and go in for early batting practice and get autographs, and they'd kick you out. You get there at noon or whatever, and just see a couple of guys come out, take early batting practice. They maybe from 3 to 5, you come back in, get watch batting practice, get autographs. So stuff like that was a lot of fun to me. And then in the summers, I would usually go and stay with my grandparents in Chicago. But so we'd always go to a few Cup games. And I remember mid 80s, it was 84. Like I was a real little kid. And they had a picture day, so you could get on the field at Wrigley Field. And that was also the year 84 was the year they ended up losing to the Padres in the playoffs. The Padres went on to play the Tigers. But so that was really cool, getting down there with Sandberg and Gary Matthews and Jody Davis and, all those. but then like my grandfather, he had from Chicago, he had a huge interest in baseball and interest in the Negro Leagues, and he had that ball. Only the Ball Was White. That's kind of a seminal Negro League book, and he gave that to me or showed it to me when I was maybe like 8 or 9. Was like, yeah, you should read this, you know, and kind of talk to me about the different leagues and how, you know, Black people, you know, what, you know, so you kind of, you know, you're 7 or most kids, their knowledge of racism is fairly limited, but that was kind of a first step for me as going through baseball to start to learn about the history of the country, you know. But I've always, you know, there's tons of really good books about it. Phil Dixon has a lot of good books about the Negro Leagues. But yeah, so since I was a little kid, I was always interested in like Turkey Stearns and Martin DiHigio and Rube Foster, you know, like, yeah.
And did you play baseball growing up?
Yeah. Play, you know, through high school, and then I went to University of North Texas, which is like a really good art and music school. But they had a club baseball team for the college, so I played on that. So we played like Division 2 and 3. Mm-hmm. So, you know, it was just fun. It's always fun to hang out with people and play
Where's
ball.
that located at?
It's in Denton. It's maybe from downtown Dallas. It's maybe 40-minute drive, kind of northwest, kind of going towards Fort Worth.
Right. Yeah. No, I've heard North Texas a few times because I went to Oregon State and I want to say we played in North Texas in football, but had no idea where it was located.
It's big with like music.
Right.
Yeah, jazz and art.
So growing up watching the Cubs and later the Rangers, do you have any favourite memories or particular ball games that stick out in the memory from growing up?
The Sandberg game, where he hit the, you know, home runs off Bruce Sutter. I'm pretty sure that was 84. But I know that was like a national game, you know, like a Saturday afternoon game. Bob Costas called that. Andre Dawson was by far my favorite Cub. Like that 1987 season. I mean, where he batted 287 with 49 homers, 137 RBIs. First MVP on a last place team. Like, I loved Andre Dawson, man. And I met him. I ended up talking to him for like an hour, and like he was so nice. They always say don't meet your hero because you'll always be disappointed, but man, he was so nice. We talked about the Negro Leagues, and we talked, you know, it was fun. I mean, it was crazy.
So he's a busy man right now.
Oh yeah. If I die before him, I want my body sent to Andre.
God, do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't know.
So Andre Dawson owns like, I don't even know how many like cemeteries and crematoriums and stuff like that there. So yeah, so
like, okay.
Yeah, that's the ongoing joke. So yeah, so he invested all his money into that, and then
I think it was a family business, and then he took it over.
Oh, okay. So is he like a funeral director type thing then?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, it's an interesting post-baseball career choice, but I mean, someone's got to do it, hasn't they?
So it's almost like a throwback to the 40s when they're like, oh yeah, they, you know, did whatever, you know, like they had normal job.
Yeah, they would have a job and then their team would be named after it, like the Kansas City Tombstones or whatever. Last night we were speaking to Ramon Mejia, who's another excellent artist. He's on the Negro League Museum fundraiser, and he mentioned that Greg Jeffries was his guy growing up as a Mets fan. And when we were pulling cards at the end of that interview, we pulled a Greg Jeffries. So let's cross our fingers that we get an Andre Dawson for yourself later.
Yeah. Greg Jeffries was the swinging his bat underwater. That was his thing.
Yeah, I remember that whole Sports Illustrated article. Yeah.
Yep. His dad made him do that, I think.
If I had a swimming pool, I would have done the exact same thing. There weren't too many swimming pools around Seattle. So.
My dad would throw me popcorn kernels. He'd flip them to me for batting practice.
Oh yeah.
When I was a little kid, so you get that focus on that.
I remember Jacob Wright, Jason, when he was on Ball Caps and Bagpipes. Jacob Wright's a player in Glasgow over here in our league, and he was talking about doing that, like the popcorn kernels and trying to hit the kernels, because once you can hit that consistently, you can pretty much hit anything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jason, do you want to take over and dive into the art side of things and the baseball cards?
Yeah, so I was looking through your website, and you said you one of the quotes that really stuck with me is like, sports art has nothing to do with sport. Can you explain that?
I think like a lot of times I'm trying my own history and like really dissect the history of my own life, and then baseball is more of a stage for me to tell different stories about things that I've seen. A lot of them are dark in theme. Like my dad was very strict and very authoritarian, but it was very much to be seen and never heard. But if we talk about baseball, everything changed, like the tone and everything. But he had Crohn's disease, and he really struggled with that his whole life. Like every single year would go in for these massive operations, and was just disabled with that. So you start trying to like dissect your own life and think about all these different little references and things that make you who you are. Like you had that baseball connection through the men in my family, but then kind of this traumatic thing with the illness and the not knowing, like, is your dad gonna die? And so yeah, I tend to my paintings definitely aren't for everybody because they're kind of dark in tone. Like they're
You lost, Grant?
No, it's me. I guess it's me.
Is your internet?
I think
are
it's
you
my
frozen
internet.
right now?
Yeah, no, there's something going on. Like it's gone absolutely rubbish, but that's all right. Sorry about that, Grant.
My dad took me to see the Natural. You guys seen that, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But he was shot in the stomach, and so the stomach's bleeding, and so like I had into the Natural too, like with the stomach issues and like this one.
Oh wow.
It's home plate.
Yeah.
But it represents my home.
Mm-hmm.
And then, it was just dominated by the illness, but it's also like a Roy Hobbs piece. And, so I'll do baseball stuff, but then try to make it about myself or things I observe, things I've seen. Let's see, like this.
Yeah, please walk us through a piece, because I'm very curious about how you put yourself into the art. This is fascinating.
Can you see that Satchel Paige piece right there?
Absolutely.
Can you see that one?
Yeah.
Like I only painted half of his body, and then I put a little piece of silver that's like reflective back on the viewer. So it's about time lost, and trying to, look at that chunk that's floating and why did that happen and what is that? And then there's the reflective piece in it, is to try to like reflect on yourself and your own behavior. And
Yeah.
There's a Rube Foster.
Yeah.
So that's him with his wife right here, and she helped him quite a bit as far as organizing games. And then that's a copy of a ticket stub for the first interracial game that he put together.
Okay.
Awesome. And then like he has a target behind his head.
Mm-hmm.
And you see like this white baseline is supposed to be like a white racial line. Right. And his hat is starting to like creep up and trying to push through it. Mm-hmm. And then like he would say like, we are the ship. So there's like a ocean at the bottom with a ship that's trying to steady itself. And
so when was the first interracial game? Because I don't actually know, and I'm very curious about it.
I believe that one is from 1919, I think. Could be wrong. I haven't read it in a while. But yeah, I mean, it's good to not, I just enjoy the history of it and trying to learn as much as I can. And, it's kind of one of those things you learn. Maybe you're reading all this history. Negro Leagues, but then maybe James Baldwin or Maya Angelou or Toni Morrison, or these famous African American writers. It's just one thing leads to another.
Did we lose him? Did we lose me? Sorry, I think the connection's bad. Sorry about this, Grant.
That's okay.
Cool. So, with your research with the Negro Leagues, has this kind of led to more research into the social commentary? Because you said you do work on that as well? Or does it kind of come hand in hand?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Even like last year, I thought, maybe I shouldn't do anything else on the Negro Leagues, just because it's like the irony isn't lost on me that I'm a white guy, painting about the Black experience, and I see it more as it's the essential American story,
I would agree.
like from, the 1600s to the, and you look at everything that goes on today as far as the judicial system and ways that you can still keep people, measure for Haverty's or whatever and pay them 20 cents an hour, or, based on different laws for similar drugs that one race might use, or, I mean, there's a million things you could go on about. I don't know.
No, absolutely. Like it's one of those things. Like there is that element of white privilege and
white supremacy.
Yeah, and but it's great to go, and it's being recognized now. A lot of people like myself, like the first time I knew of the Negro Leagues, but again, it was Ken Burns' documentary that really kind of shined the light on it for me. And it, and it's kind of been, okay, I can look at that more. Where you said you've known about it as a kid, you had, your parents talk to you about it. So that must have been, you were ahead of the curve, I guess you could say.
Yeah, but I mean, like most African American history learned in my 20s, like I didn't, and the best book anybody could read probably is A People's History of the United States by Howard Zinn. That's basically, we have kind of our cookie cutter history, but then there's the history written from every other race's perspective. If if you're Chinese in America, in early America, if you're Black in early, like, what was it like, as when Columbus got here, what was it like to be a Native American? That's kind of how the book starts. But just stuff that should be a book in every high schooler's read, but it may be a while before that's allowed.
Especially in these political climates.
Yeah, I'm not going to say anything else there.
I think that's the comment made by most people on here. We're just going to leave it unsaid. So that's absolutely fine. So you have been, you went to college to go and study art and design. So have you always been interested in drawing then? Did it just come naturally for you?
Yeah, my dad was pretty good naturally. My grandmother, she illustrated a lot of, she was probably born in 1918 or something, but she illustrated a lot of her high school yearbook. And I thought that was super cool. Like, she was so famous that all her drawings are in there. And, as a little kid seeing that. And I guess I was just always kind of a daydreamer and ADD, undiagnosed ADD, it was more the time that I wasn't believed in. You're just lazy,
Mm-hmm.
I
had the same problem. Yeah. I mean, I didn't get back.
I was drawing.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. No, I can relate to that. Like I said, I was 18 when I diagnosed with it. And so I can totally understand it. It was like your brain just goes a million miles an hour. And whatever catches your attention for the next 20 minutes is what's got your attention.
Yep.
So did you start with, I guess you started thinking, but when did you start drawing, say, baseball players?
Probably more teens. Yeah, and I remember winning like high school competitions, like for the whole city and stuff.
Nice one.
But like drawing a baseball player, but it was like but at the same time, if the next art project didn't interest me, I just wasn't going to do it, so maybe I got a D in art, but I've just always been like, I'm going to do what I want to do. And that's just how it is,
No, absolutely. I said that. I mean, you gotta get paid, so you'll do stuff there. But if you're not passionate about a project, your heart's not really in it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we talked briefly about the Texas Rangers, and it said you actually have some work with the Texas Rangers.
Well, they've had me do a few different projects with them for players and stuff, and come down on the field and. But they had said that they were going to use some artists for the new ballpark that they just built. But then, like with everything that's been going on, that they kind of put all that on hold. And I don't know. We'll see if it happens. Or
it might not be a bad thing. I mean, it does look like a giant barbecue.
But I mean, like at that first stadium, I saw Nolan Ryan's 5,000 strikeout, his 7th no-hitter. I worked at the ballpark in Arlington. I worked there in a suite for like 3 years, so I worked parking cars at that first ballpark. That was my first job.
Right. Okay. So would you park the athletes' cars, or was it more for the suite?
Yeah, that was more just whoever was coming to the game.
Right.
So sort of valet parking, basically.
No, a little bit, but more just directing. Something for a 16-year-old to do.
It's not a bad job. Right?
Yeah, but more like a parking attendant kind of thing.
Yeah, but you got to go in the games for free after the second inning.
Nice.
That's why I did it. You
Yeah.
know,
Did you get to sit anywhere in the park then?
anything that was open. Yeah.
So how often did you sneak behind home plate?
Those teams weren't that great, so
I'm a Mariners fan, so that's not going to be. I know the feeling. It wasn't until Griffey came, and it still took a few years for us to be good. So I remember, like $1 bleacher seats and going to see the Mariners for $1. So if there was a game on, it wasn't the greatest game, but you got to watch baseball. So
yeah.
you might as well take advantage of the seats while you can. Cool. So let's talk about what you are doing for the Negro League fundraiser. What do you have for us?
For that one, I was just saying anything on my website, anything that sells 40% goes to the museum.
Right.
Great.
I wasn't just saying like one piece. I was saying like all whatever. If there's 100 on there,
Cool. That's awesome. I'm guessing you didn't have time to create anything, because you have quite a collection of work here.
Yeah, I mean, I was trying. I have a couple that are kind of midway right now, but we'll just see. Maybe in the next 2 or 3 days, I can add a few more, just kind of smaller things.
And I was looking at your website real quick. What's the 9 stand for? I have a good guess, but what's the 9 for? John, do you have any idea? So he's got 9 in his title here. So do you want to guess what number 9 is?
Number 9. Oh, I feel like I should know.
I'm guessing it's a historical person, or historical baseball player. That's my guess.
Is it Ryan Sandberg? Did he wear 9?
No. You got to do a deeper dive.
Oh,
Mid-century left-handed hitter. He was in the Marines.
I get that.
Ted Williams, of course.
There we go.
I knew. Do you know what? I should have known that. It was floating around in my head that was his number. But yeah, Ted's one of the absolute greatest of all time.
So, tell us about why you chose that. I want to hear about Ted Williams.
I just always was drawn to him. He's kind of like the man's man, like like
John Wayne.
Yeah. But then, like looking at the 9 just from different perspectives, like the 9 innings, the 9 players, just started reading about numerology and other weird stuff and getting all kinds of different meanings from that. But I won't bore you with all that weird numerology stuff.
Go for it. It's your chance to talk about it. So, so we would talk to James Florentino, and he was commissioned to do Ted Williams' 20 greatest hitters of all time, and he was talking about spending time, like hours, with talking with Ted to pick his brains, and it was absolutely amazing. So please go. Feel free to talk about this. Like I said, it's your show to talk about whatever you want.
Yeah. Like 0 being the lowest digit, 9 being the highest. I don't know. I don't want to. I'll start sounding crazier than I already do. It's so weird. Like, I know it's weird.
That's right. We talked about
a pretty damn cool number.
We had a weird conversation on last night where it involved me stripping and glory holes. So
yeah.
What?
We had in our first of the 4 interviews we did last night, we had Jason stripping off. We had glory hole chat. We also had pee. So this weekend we've gone to some pretty strange places.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's touch on your memorabilia. So you collect a lot of stuff, and you sell it. Do you have one favorite piece of memorabilia that you decided to keep that you're not going to sell?
Trying to think. I don't know. I just bought a full run of Michael Jordan's school yearbooks from junior high through college.
Whoa.
Like it's
Awesome.
11 of them.
Wow.
Those are neat. I'd sell them though. Like I don't. But it's cool to see him, like in the lunch line, and and he's like 8 years old, and I don't know. I have tons of Cub stuff.
Is there
And a lot of it's really old, like 1920s, 1930s. A lot of cool, like Texas League stuff, like uniforms and seasons passes, like for the Dallas Steers from like 1915 and 1920. Like.
Is there a Sabre chapter out there? I would assume there must be.
Yeah.
Are you part of that? Do you help do your research?
Just since kids, with 3 little kids now, like my free time is pretty limited.
Yeah, I can relate to that.
Yeah. I haven't been able to do anything.
It's all good. Like I said, literally, like the last 2 weeks, I've been staying up to like 2 o'clock in the morning, and then waking up at 7, drop the kids off at school, and then like sleeping for an hour or two just to make sure I get some sleep.
Yeah.
Cool.
Do you want to ask your question, John, and then we'll go into some cards?
Yeah, sure. Before I do, I just want to compliment Grant on that art behind them. I haven't had a chance before now to say how absolutely wonderful I think that those pieces are. The statue is amazing, and the Rube Foster piece is absolutely eye-catching. It's tremendous. Yeah, and I loved that you mentioned MJ. Me being I'm a Chicago Bulls fan, so and for me, Jordan is the absolute GOAT. And there isn't a question. But yeah, we always like to finish up our interviews with the same question to each of the artists. And I think for you, given how far back in your life and interest in the Negro Leagues go, it's going to be an interesting one to hear your answer. And that is, as an artist and as a baseball fan and as an American, what do the Negro Leagues mean to you? And how did you come to be involved with the fundraiser?
Somebody posted about it a couple weeks ago, and then I contacted Tad, who's kind of been in charge running it, and just was like, hey, I'd like to be involved with this if there's room. But yeah, I mean, personally, the Negro Leagues is just, I'm just amazed at how often and still overlooked they are. But for me, it's, been a really important part of my childhood, and to the current day. But it's just kind of a window into the American experience. And like I've actually heard people say, oh, well, those Negro Leaguers, that, like it was just they were just playing whoever and whatever and town teams, and the talent really wasn't there. And it's like, okay, so you're saying just all of a sudden Jackie Robinson came in and dominated, and just all of a sudden Willie Mays just came in and dominated Frank Robinson, and you could go on like hundreds and hundreds of, like they were so amazing. So I mean, I think it's a way to kind of help teach people just about the history of the country, and yeah, I love it. I love the Negro Leagues.
Amazing, man. Thank you so much for joining us, Grant. We're going to open up a pack of cards in a bit. Before we do, would you like to plug your social media and your website?
The website is grant9smith.com. And then the Instagram is grant9smithart. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, man. It's been an absolute pleasure, as I say, speaking with you.
Cool. Thanks, John.
Jason, let's open up some cards, man.
All right, so
Yeah.
I've got about 8 packs of cards here, and you get to choose which one you want to open up, and we can discuss what you pull. So I've got 87 tops,
Oh yeah.
89 Donners. I'm a junk era guy. I like the junk era. 1990 score, 91 studio, 92 pinnacle,
Yeah.
92 Donners, and 93 studio. And then I've got like Big League Baseball, which is the modern one if you want to open that.
I gotta go Andre Dawson MVP year 87.
I just ate the gum in the previous one there, so everyone wants me to watch you eat the gum. So we'll see what happens here.
I bet you can hold those back far from me and I'll be able to tell who it is.
Right. Let's see.
Just because I looked at so many of those.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, 86 was
You
the
could buy
first.
those. You could buy those at Sam's Wholesale Club.
Yeah.
And so, like, you could buy 87 Donruss and tops, and I'd buy by the cases, like giant boxes.
Yeah, the cases. Yeah, where there's 20 boxes in there.
Yeah.
So do you prefer the tops to the Donruss or the Fleer?
Flair is the best from 87 for sure.
Right, yeah. See, I couldn't find any 87 Fleer as a kid, so I bought all the tops I could. And then I do a wax pack Wednesday, and I open up a pack of 87 Donruss and see what I pull there. But
This is Andre Dawson. He's got his bat, like he's showing his bat. You know, like the bat is right there.
All right, yeah. All right, let's see. Let's see who we get. But yes, let's see. We start off with a Cub. Let's see if you remember Brian Dead.
He was an outfielder.
He was, yeah, for the Yankees as well too.
Yeah.
He must have been Andre Dawson's caddy.
Rubbed his bad knees.
Yeah. Scott Bradley for the Mariners.
Yeah.
He was kind of the backup of Dave Valley. Darnell Coles.
Oh yeah, he was a Mariner.
Yep, yes he was.
He had a good year, I think, that year. In 24 homers, 86 RBIs.
Close, yeah. He had 20 homers and 86 RBIs. So your knowledge is amazing. That's pretty spot on. All right. I remember this guy by his name, Billy Joe Robideau.
Oh yeah, he had one real big year, like a little cup of coffee and hit a bunch of homers, or like 10
sounds
homers.
Sounds like a country song.
It's a great name, Billy Joe Robideau.
Yeah. Exactly. I kind of wish he would have done well just for the name.
There's an old Cub named Orville Overall. That's a great name. Like the 1908 Cub.
Oh.
Cool. We got an old timer here, Bill Maddock.
Oh yeah,
Bill Matlock.
Yeah, he was a good Cub too. He baseman, pirate. He won a batting title in the 70s, I think.
Yeah, 354 with the Cubs.
Oh yeah.
That's not bad. You've got the memory here. Yeah. John's always like, "Oh, I'm so impressed by who you know," and you're putting me to shame here.
But it's how much time did I waste? Just
cases. Yeah, I think we all did that. I mean, there were so few books. Like you got various books to read on stuff, and for me, like buying cards and immediately looking at the back of the cards to read any kind of stat you could was like the best part about it. So I always enjoyed that. All right, we got Frank Tanana.
Oh yeah, he's won over 200 games. Real good pitcher with the Rangers too.
Yeah, played for the Rangers. Yeah, he led the league in losses in 1982.
Yeah. Maybe he didn't get to. Maybe he got like 170.
He's at 159 after 86, so he's probably pretty close. All right, we have Jim DeShays.
Oh yeah, that's the consecutive strikeout record.
Yeah,
I got 9 in a row.
It was 8. He got 8 in this one.
Yeah, Jim DeShays.
Yep, he broke.
Commentator now.
Is he? For who?
don't know if he's doing it for the Cubs or he's been doing it for a while. He did it for the Astros for a while.
Okay. No, I'll have to go check that out. Like I said, I need to listen to more stuff on the radio. But being in the UK, we're kind of like, well, whatever game's on is on. So
Yeah.
I'm not staying up to watch a game at 3:00 in the morning for the Mariners. At least not a little bit better. We got my personal favorite. We got Tony Gwynn All-Star.
Tony Gwynn All-Star. Good card.
Yeah.
I
No
like the uniform.
explanation needed there.
I'm a big fan of those brown ones. They're not as good as the mustard ones, but the brown ones are my favorite here.
Mr. Padre.
All right, we've got Carney Lansford.
Carney. Yeah, he's awesome.
He's got a sweet
He's
stash.
the Red Sox.
Yeah.
Then he went to the Angels, but he was a real good average hitter. I think Wade Boggs unseated him. Once Boggs came, then he
shot the
kind of the boot.
Yeah, that's true. All right, so this came up in a trivia question. We got Ron Darling.
Oh yeah. The dueling no hitters through 11 with Frank Viola.
Yeah.
It's from Honolulu, Hawaii.
Yeah, exactly. And he does the Mets games.
Yep.
Yeah,
He was really good.
we pulled up Frank Viola last night, and him and Ron Darling threw the best college game ever, where it was dueling no hitters through 10.
It was 11.
Yeah.
11. Went through 11, yeah.
All right.
Sweet music, Viola.
Yeah, exactly. All right, we got another really solid guy, and Brett Saberhagen.
Oh yeah, Cy Young. Probably 85 Cy Young because they won the series in 85. But didn't he win like 24 games in 85?
He won 20 games, but he was always good every other year. He had a great season, had a poor season. No, really, it's like that. So he won 20, and then the following year he won 7. So it was like even year magic for him. And actually, it was odd year magic, but yeah. So we have Greg Maddox's poorer brother, Mike Maddox.
Yeah.
Cool moustache.
Yeah. So not clearly as good as his brother, but
The very few human beings alive are as good as Greg Maddox, to be fair.
Well, the story goes, the scout showed up to go see his brother, and on the way out the door, he goes, well, we'll be seeing you again soon. He's like, why is that? He goes, we'll be seeing the little one. He's even better.
Did you see what Greg Maddox was always big into pranks, but did you see when he pranked Bryant?
No, yes.
Be a cameraman, like a boom operator. And he's like, and then the guy's like, who's pitching to Bryant for a commercial was like, oh man, I gotta run and do something. And then the boom operator, who's Maddox with the beard and stuff, was like, mind if I throw? And he's like, ah. And then Bryant's like, man, this boom operator can throw, man. He's gonna strike.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I think one of my favorite Maddox pranks, and we're going into the dark zone again here, is he used to pee on everybody in the shower.
Oh yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, that was it. He'd strike up a conversation with you and pee on you. So that was
That's too easy though. You gotta do more, make it more complex.
Back in the Boys Will Be Boys days, I suppose. It was like a fraternity back then.
If you're a Hall of Famer, you can get away with that kind of stuff.
For sure.
Yeah, they still do that at the Hall of Fame, I'm sure.
Just in fancier showers.
Yeah.
All right, we got a Ranger here, Pete O'Brien.
Oh, I love Pete O'Brien. Yeah, number 9.
That was he number 9. Right.
He was real steady. Always good for like 24 homers, 90 RBIs.
Yeah.
Good fielder, underrated.
Yeah, it's 18, 80, 22, 92, 23, 90. Hit for 287, 290. It was just solid.
Eric Hosmer.
Yes, yeah, exactly. That's a good comp. We got Bob Brenly, the Giants.
Yeah.
Bob Brenly, former Arizona Diamondbacks manager.
Yeah. Catcher.
World Series winning manager with the Diamondbacks.
I got really excited because I was looking at the card after this, and I was like, "Oh, who could it be?" And it looks like a Cub.
Jerry Mumphrey.
It is.
You could probably just show me like 10% of the cards. I'd be like, oh yeah, that's Joe Necro. That's.
Hey, have you ever watched Daryl Rubble do that? Like he'll open cards and like just get a fraction of the card, and he can go the same idea. He knows all those cards as well.
No.
I'm impressed. Like Jerry Murphy's not even a dude I would have recognized, even though he's got a 12-year career here.
He's pretty good. He's a good average guy.
Yeah, again, like I mean, I collected these. I'm amazed at your knowledge here. That was awesome. All right, so we've got a Reds leader with Pete Rose there.
Yeah.
So we've had whenever we've pulled anyone controversial, so we always ask the question: should he be in? Should he not be in?
It's just he puts his foot in his mouth 1,000 times, a year. Like maybe if he could have, shown some sincere regret, but just with his attitude and everything, and it's just no, I don't think so.
I agree with Grant.
Or there could be a special wing, great players who were caught gambling and then talk about, their career, but then also what happened, and maybe like a Hal Chase and Pete and Joe could be, because gambling was so prevalent in that dead ball era. Like gambling was huge.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, last card, and then we'll call it a night. We got a Scott Terry card.
Oh, yeah. He must have been pretty borderline. Stats aren't popping in my head.
Yeah, no, but he played ball at Southwestern Texas University. So not that Texas is a small place, but
Yeah.
Grant, it's been an absolute pleasure. I wish you all the best of luck with your sales and like that there. We'll definitely have you on again because it's been a blast.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate it. Yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah, I want to echo Jason's sentiments. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you, Grant. Thanks again for joining us from over there in Dallas. Before we finish up, Jason, tonight, I would like to point out, do you have the cards that Jason Schwartz did
I have
for
my
us?
card. Your card's inside right now.
Do you want to show it? Just to...
So there you go. I
So
guess
this is a one-of-a-kind Griffey card that Jason Schwartz of Heavy J Studios created for Jason specifically. Just wanted to give a shout out to Jason for that excellent gesture. Thank you so much to Jason for that. That's us finished for the night. We'll be back tomorrow with, we got another 3 tomorrow, Jason?
Another 3 tomorrow. We're back at it again.
Another 3 tomorrow. So thanks everyone who's joined us. Again, Grant, thanks so much for coming on and speaking with us. We'll have to talk again sometime and go over some more cards, and you can blow us away with your knowledge of stats some more.
87 Donners. 87 Donners next time.
All the best with the fundraiser as well, and with everything else that you're doing. Good night, everyone, and thanks again for joining us. We'll be back.
Thank you.
Night.
Good night.